Hey guys, so we are working on 12 days, which is the medium. We're stepping up. Alright, so there wasn't much information on here, but there is this famous song, The 12 Days of Christmas, and has lots of repetitions in there. So we are trying to extract those repetitions and to build the verses. Alright, so let's go ahead and copy this down and view this in our text editor. We have this, we have the tests, and so this song I went through and it has uh, different lyrics in there, and it has similarities. So I have here a partridge in a pear tree, it has two turtle doves, and then it builds it on. Then it has four calling bird, and so basically we are going to be building this verses line by line. So what I was looking for example, here is this is built followed by four, followed by three French fries, three French hens, and then two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree. All right. So, but there's one gotcha. So you can see here we have and, but here there is no and. So we have a partridge in a pear tree, but everywhere else we have and a partridge in a pear tree. So that is going to be something to look out for. So once that is all done, what I want to do is think of ways of breaking this down, looking at what repeats or what doesn't repeat itself. So I'm going to create here a variable that's going to hold all the different verses. There will be 12 of them in total. Okay. So I can come over here and I can copy a partridge in a pear tree and keep going all the way down to the 12th. So I'm going to just copy all this over into this file because then it makes it a lot easier for me to copy over the words. So copy that and paste it in there. Copy 2, copy 3, not 3 French fries, but 3 French hens, and then keep going. So just copy over everything. All right, so those are the different verses. So now we have the positions. So if we look at this here, they're basically going to give you one and one, and you to print out the first one here, okay, and then two and two will print out the second, will print out the third on the third day, and then print out everything that comes before that. All right, so we're basically building things out. So I'm going to create here a list of all the different positions. So just so we have them there. So again, there are 12 of them. So I'm just going to copy all this out and then paste them all in here. Remove the last comma there. Okay, so that's it, guys. We have those broken down. So this, for example, I'm going to build what I imagine it to look like. So we are going to just return something that will look similar to this. All right, so down here we're going to build our verses in there. So this would for now just be a variable which we haven't defined yet. All right, and what else needs to change? So this 12 day will change that to position. So these are the two moving parts that we need to build essentially. So now that we have those, this is what we're going to build. So this is going to go into that, depending on the verse that the user or the test is requesting for. So go ahead and delete all that so you don't have any errors when you run your code. All right, so now looking at this, we have recite 3 and it's going to print on the fourth day, and then it will print third, it will print second, and then the first. So now the idea is how do we do that? What do we use? So let's have a look at other test files. So down here, they pass a range in. So 1 to 4, we'll basically put 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and then that is expected to match that result there. All right, so to get started, let's copy this over, go into Python and see list. We can slice this. So for example, if I request for everything in 1, 1, that will give us nothing. So, but if I say 0, 1, so that would give us the first line. So I can say, for example, 1, 2, that would give us the second verse there. Okay, so with that in mind, when we look at the test, so where it says 1, 1, so this is basically minus 1, so 0, 1. This is minus 1, 1, 2. So that's how I'm going to visualize that to work. So we need to build the verse. So now that we have a way of slicing using the list slice, we can get to work. So this is a sample of what's going to come, which would be 0 to 11, etc. Okay, so that's going to be another edge case that we need to make sure we take care of. Okay, so to get a chunk from this verse, okay, we need to slice things from there. So if I do that, so we start with the start verse minus 1, and then we'll get all the way to the end verse. So that will give us a chunk, okay, depending on what the test is requesting for. So once we know how to get the chunk out, we can go over each of them, each of those verses, and build them out. So in the first verse, we can build it and basically go and get the position. So we start with 1, okay, because 1 would skip the first item in the list, which is our unique case. I want to deal with that separately. Okay, so we'll go index plus 1, knowing that index starts from 0. So that's what we're going to do there. So we're using 1 instead of 0 because I want to skip the first one. So I want to skip this one because it has a unique case. Remember, the A and the AND is unique for that one. So that would fetch everything going backwards. Okay. All right. So once we have that, I can then reverse everything. All right. So when the data is fetched, it basically doesn't reverse them. So let's have a test. So I'm going to log in. I'm going to create a verse just so we have something to test with. So this is a verse, and then I can copy this line. Okay. Okay, so with that there, it fetches the first one, but that doesn't really help us very much. So I'm going to use something that will fetch more. So when I run that, it fetches everything, okay? But it fetches from 2 going all the way to 9. But you'll notice that it's going in ascending order. So it's 2, 3, 4, but the song counts backwards. And again, you can see we are omitting the first one, which we want to leave out because it's a special case because of this AND. So we need to be able to check when to use AND and when not to use AND. All right, so once that's there, I wanted to make it count backwards. So that's why we've had to use reverse. So if you notice here, it counts backwards from 12 going back down to the first one. All right, so here we have want to go backwards basically, and that's where the reverse comes from. Okay, so if I I'm going to recopy this one to include the build versus variable. Then we can have a look and see what happens when we reverse that. Check it now. We can see it reversed. So this basically is looking more like what we want it to look like. And right now it is a list. So what we want to do is do a check. So this is what we're checking to see if it is the verse is the first one. So we check the index of the verse that we're iterating over, and if it's 0, which is the first in the list, then we want to build verse and append 0. So appending 0 would append this exactly as it is without the and, okay, in front of it. So that's what we're doing there, manually doing that check. All right, so once that's done, it will be added to the end of the list here, so we don't need to worry about another reverse, because that's what append would do for us. And if it's not the first one, then everything is good. So we could just go ahead and put and in front of the list just like that, and that should solve that problem for us. So we have an if and else just to check for that situation. All right, so I have 1 and 1 there, okay, and it should fetch using a partridge, and if it is not the first list, then it should use and in the build up. All right, so that's what we've done, and that should take care of that edge case. All right, so once that is added in, we also want to make sure that it's a string separated with commas. So final thing to do is to use join. Okay, so basically going to put a comma after everything and just have it as a string instead. All right, so again, we could test this out by running this up here, and then we could see it's no longer a list, it's just a string separated with commas. That's all. All right, so with that done, we've built our verses there. That movement is done. So for the position, we can get the position because again is a list of 12 items, so the index is the same. So I can say for this verse that we are looking at, get the index and use that index to retrieve the position in positions. So that would do exactly the same thing. All right, so we'll save it into a position variable, and that is picked up down here. All right, so the final step really is not to return this, but to save this into a variable. Well, append it into a variable, because we could have multiple verses, so that would do the trick there. And now this variable needs to be created outside of our loop, and is an empty list. So that's what we now need to return, is whatever is in that verses that are saved into in the full verses. So we can go ahead and return that there. Okay, so that should complete the solution for this one. So it's a slightly longer challenge, hence medium. But yeah, so that should fulfill the build versus and the position as well. Okay, time to try it out. Yep, and that's all green. So that's it for that solution. So we've met all that expectation there, and also down below here this also worked, so we're happy with that solution. Okay, so with that done, we can just go ahead and make sure that you understood everything, and let's submit the work and look at what other people have done. All right, so that's done. Let's have a look. Okay, so as expected, someone has built something very similar. So going over each of the verse and has day and has gift extracted. So yeah, so this is going to be a bit more of a challenge to read. So this one's actually very straightforward. Okay, so that's cool. Yeah, yep. So it just reads all the way backwards instead of doing the long-winded way that I did it. So that's cool. So basically, that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next challenge.